my brothers. I always wondered how far we could go if we could break through the sea on the bubbles.
Hey banda Atomics, ¿cómo están? Yo soy Clau, qué chido estar por acá después de que Jorge Díaz por fin me prestó todos los fierros, cámara, equipo, luces y a Luis Piagui de video para poder estar aquí. Bueno, les vengo a platicar acerca de Forza 6 porque hace unos cuantos días tuve la oportunidad de viajar a San Francisco, California para jugar Forza 6, este título que saldrá ya en unos cuantos días, el próximo 15 de septiembre. Pueden checar ya las impresiones ahí en atomics.bg y si no el link está aquí en la descripción de este video. Lo importante es que nos sentamos con Bill Giesse, aclamado desarrollador de Turn10 Studios, quien ha estado desde el inicio del origen de esta saga que tiene ya 10 años la franquicia de Forza, de las cosas nuevas que trae, cómo ha evolucionado la serie y hacia dónde cree él que apuntan los simuladores de autos, que la verdad cada vez pintan más en el fotorrealismo. Así que algunas de las cosas que le pregunté a Bill Giesse fue, por ejemplo, qué opina él acerca de la evolución que ha tenido la franquicia a lo largo de estos 10 años, que parece fácil, pero se ha mantenido ahí con espectaculares juegos que siempre han recibido grandísimas calificaciones.
It's been a kind of a whirlwind. You know, if you look at where we were back in 2003 when we were just developing the original Forza Motorsport, no idea, you know, basically the games that we were building, we would just build them for ourselves. We love cars, we love games, and so we thought this is who we're building this for. Cut to 10 years later, and you know, being able to see how many players are interacting with the Forza franchise, with Forza Motorsport and Forza Horizon, it's been amazing to see the level of detail and the expectations from players, especially for Forza Motorsport 6, being able to build features specifically for those player types.
Buena opinión acerca de Bill, de cómo cree que ha cambiado tanto la franquicia y sobre todo cómo ha logrado cambiar la vida de las personas fanáticas a los videojuegos en cuanto a los títulos o simuladores de autos. Ahora, Forza 6 tiene dos aspectos totalmente nuevos que jamás habías visto en la franquicia. Se trata de que podremos jugar con la lluvia y que podremos conducir de noche. Puede que sea algo bastante simple a la hora de que lo estamos diciendo, pero llevarlas al juego fue una de las tareas más difíciles que tuvo el estudio de Turn10, así que Bill nos cuenta cómo estuvo.
It's something we've wanted to do for a long time, but we wanted to do it in an impactful way. When it came to night, we knew that it's not just making everything dark and throwing a few lights on. There's something that we talked to the race car drivers we reached out to, is there's this fear that happens when you're racing, and all you have is this cone of light to guide you. You hit one of those lights and a light goes out, or two lights go out, right? And you're kind of watching the brake lights of the car ahead of you. We really wanted to create that tension for players. And when it came to rain, the biggest thing we wanted to do is to do puddles. In Forza Motorsport 6, we have physically simulated 3D puddles, and every single one of them has accurate drag, so even getting one tire in is going to affect the car. Anyone who's driven a car, whether it's in the highway or at home, if you go over a puddle at slow speeds, there's that moment where your heart drops, you clench on the steering wheel. We wanted to recreate that feeling when players are racing in our game, not only just with haptics, but with sound, and how that feels and how that affects the car.
Ya escuchamos de la evolución, también acerca de la noche y de la lluvia, pero también hay una herramienta nueva que vamos a ver en Forza 6 y se trata de los mods. Nunca antes los habíamos visto, una nueva opción de juego que todos los jugadores van a poder probar al utilizar diferentes modificaciones en el auto o power-ups, por así decirlo, en tres distintas categorías que van a tener algún efecto o impacto en cómo se desempeña y se siente el auto a lo largo de la carrera. Esto no quiere decir que el juego es mucho más fácil, al contrario, es una nueva herramienta que hace mucho más sencillo el entendimiento y aprendizaje que tiene el usuario acerca de los autos. Así que vamos a conocer más de los mods.
When we started to develop in the last 2 years, we learned a lot about our player types. We have some players that they just like to sit back, hang out, play the career. They don't really want to play with other players online, and they really want to win no matter what, and they want to be rewarded. Mods was a tool that we could give them to do that. If you remember Forza Motorsport 4 on the Xbox 360, when you played through our career mode, we had these, each event you chose, you got this little bonus. So if you choose this event and you beat it, you get more affinity. If you chose this event and beat it, you get more credits. Mods is for career and free play only. It's not for rivals, it's not for multiplayer. The players who we're building this for are the career players, the free players. They want to give themselves a little bit of an edge. They want to get a little bit more money out of the system that they're using. As well as we have things called dares, which we want people to try to dip their toe into things that they like. Oh, you know what, I don't usually drive in manual, but if I put this dare on, it locks me into manual, but I get 20% more credit. It's a great tool for those player types to be able to use.
Entre tantas cosas buenas que tiene la serie de Forza, la definición de realismo es una de las más importantes, no solamente en el modelado de los autos, sino también el diseño de las pistas. Esta es una de las tareas más importantes que Turn10 presta muchísima atención con cada entrega. Algunos de los integrantes del estudio viajan por todo el mundo tomando cientos o miles de fotografías de cada uno de los nuevos circuitos que van a integrar. Una de las tareas más difíciles es recrear autos, pistas y obtener licencias. Así que Bill nos cuenta de cómo lo hace.
So we have a great business and licensing team And what we do is as we start to develop a new game, we start to look at the experiences that we want to give. Forza Motorsport 6, for example, we knew that we wanted to present touring cars, global touring cars, for the first time in our franchise. We go out and we reference a bunch of cars, we take those together, and we go to each manufacturer and say, hey, look, we've got over 80 car manufacturers, we've got great relationships with them. Dealing with those isn't really so much of an issue as it more than anything is trying to find some of the cars that we want. And then same thing with track licenses. When we go out and capture the tracks, it's a pretty in-depth process to go out. We have laser scan technology that actually drones fly out and capture a lot of the scans, obviously all the photos and reference that we take. Finding the track, identifying it, sending out time for us to go and capture, and then building it. It's a process that we've done now for 10 years. It really depends on the track. Our crown jewel tracks like Rio de Janeiro and Forza Motorsport 6, that's probably a little over a year. We know that we want to put a ton of energy into these unique tracks, these ones that aren't circuit-based, but when you get to the circuit tracks, it could be anywhere from 6 months to 10 months to build.
Tras 10 años de existencia de la serie de Forza lo hemos visto todo. Miles de autos, muchísimos circuitos, el uso de Kinect, el famoso Vista Mode en el cual podemos ver el interior de los autos. Así que les hice una pregunta un poco más personal a Bill, donde yo quería saber cuál ha sido la tarea más difícil que ha tenido el estudio a lo largo de estos 10 años. Así que, ¿qué se imaginan ustedes?
If you've played the last few Forza games, we have what's called Forza Vista. Every car in the game you can fully explode, you can climb in, you get tours on, they can be tuned, customized, and damaged. Building a system like that is pretty immense. A car takes about 6 months from beginning to end to build. One of the best jobs at our studio is the car research team. These guys get to travel the world, they get to go to millionaires' garages, they get to go and capture all of these cars, and they never stop. They will always be capturing cars. And so when you think about that, they have to go out, find a car. Obviously we have to get the okay to crawl through it, because some of these cars there's only 1 or 2 in the world. And it's not like the newer cars. Newer cars, we get all the information from the car manufacturers, the CAD data. Pretty much, they give us a lot of that information. So having to recreate that from scratch and then build it based off of our measurements, it takes quite a long time.
Ya entrando en temas un poco más técnicos en cuanto al juego, podemos ver el comportamiento de los autos es totalmente diferente. Por ejemplo, no es lo mismo conducir un auto clásico de los años 50 que son muy potentes pero son sumamente pesados, a conducir un auto de la serie 200 o incluso un IndyCar. Así que mi pregunta para Bill fue de cómo logran el balance de la velocidad y cómo se siente cada auto en la pista entre las distintas series y categorías que vemos en todos los autos de Forza 6.
We've got a great team of physics designers, and then obviously with all of our research team. We make sure that whenever we get a car in, we go through and we match it up to the race times that are done in the real world. Obviously, newer cars, we get all the race specs from the car manufacturers. It's not difficult as it is just balancing over time. Knowing the types of cars that we have when we have these classic muscle cars, and they're not as stiff, so they're going to roll a lot more than a lot of the cars with stiffer suspension. So yeah, it's the time spent that we do with these cars.
Pues ahí tienen, ya conocemos más de Forza 6, este próximo juego que saldrá el 15 de septiembre. Por mi parte es todo, denle like, suscríbanse, compártanlo, síganos en las redes sociales y nos estamos viendo próximamente en más contenidos en video. Yo soy Clau, chao.